What's up guys, welcome back to Laser Everything, and today we're talking about USB hubs, extensions, and all of that good stuff. We get questions about that literally every week. Since it's time for me to set some new ones up, it's a great time for us to cover that together. So let's dive into it. So first thing we're going to dive into is USB extensions. This guy right here. Let's say you have your computer on one side of the room and you have your laser on the other side of the room. 6 feet is usually the longest cable you might find coming with your laser in most cases. And generally speaking, that's probably about the longest you'd want to go for something that's carrying data anyway. Let's go ahead and unbag it. What you see here on the end of this wire is powered end. You get a little AC adapter and it can help boost the power of the cable. It's not going to increase your speeds, but it can help the reliability of the connection going through the cable. If you're working with any type of laser, you have to be able to send directions to that laser, especially with galvos. If you're not needing an extension, then you don't have to worry about this. You can just use the cable that came with your laser. Next up, we have our trusty USB hub. This is a 10-port Rosenway hub, and we've been recommending their 3.0 hubs for a long time. So I'm just opening this up. And it's decently packaged. They usually are. And it's a nice metal casing. This is my 4th one, and I use them for everything. So this comes with an AC adapter. And that's important because when you're running multiple USBs through a hub, if it's not powered, it means it's trying to draw all of that power through a single USB line. And when you're using a USB type A, and you're going through a computer that's not designed to pump that kind of power through the port for a lot of these devices, it turns into a bit of a problem for your data integrity and maintaining your connection. This hub is a USB 3.1 hub that gives you increased speeds for compatible devices anyway, but you also get 2 different USB types. You have a USB to USB-C, so you have a USB-C type, but then you also have a USB-A type. This is your typical computer. USB-C, you're going to see it on a lot of newer computers. Maybe not even necessarily new, but it is newer for people who haven't bought a computer in a while. USB-C is great because if you have a laptop that doesn't have a lot of ports, a lot of the time you're going to find a USB-C on them to save on space. It has a smaller sizing on the outside of the chassis. Pick the cable that you need to connect to your computer. We're going to use the USB-A type to the extension. And now I can plug that in right to my mobile laser cart. I already have power going to the cart, so all I need is data. All right, well, let's get this guy set up. So just unwrapping it here, and we have our little buttons. What these allow you to do is you can turn them on and off individually. So if you have a lot of devices, like let's say external hard drives, that don't have a dedicated power button that you don't necessarily want connected to Windows all the time, what you can do is you can just turn off the connection to it individually. That also allows you to do different things like troubleshooting your laser. It's got a lot of uses and use cases, so great for troubleshooting. I really like it. And in this case, I don't want to use the USB-C one because I'm going to be running this one through an extension, which requires USB-A. You guys may recognize this port if you have a printer. It's just a USB 3.0 cable, and we connect it into the hub. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the AC adapter wired up here because this is going to tuck nicely. But what's nice about this is everything plugs in on one side. So this can nicely tuck away. It's very easy to wire manage. And I am literally going to just be double sticky taping this to my rolling workbench. And that way I have rolling data and I only have to worry about one cable where I have 3 lasers connected to it at any given time, plus cameras and everything else. So having an extra 10 ports is going to be very handy. Here we are on the back side of my cart here, and I have a mounted surge protector here that everything plugs into, both my lasers, and that way I only have to worry about one wire going to my laser for power. I have the power for my USB hub. I'm going to get this guy plugged in. For now, it can go anywhere because it's going to get rearranged as I get everything wired up here anyway. But eventually, this is going to get tacked down to the workbench with some double sticky tape. And now This USB cable can now go to the extension, and again, one USB cable to worry about, one power cable, and everything on the cart is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and get everything else set up here and test it out and make sure everything works. All we need is these two plugs, and everything has power and data. Since we're talking about cable management and wiring and all the things that kind of go with it, I thought it might be a worthwhile time investment to show you guys how I'm going to be doing some of my cable management. So these are Velcro cable ties. So what's fantastic about these is you can undo and redo them all the time. If you need to move something around, or if you just want to temporarily tie something, you can just use one and do it up and undo it later. Alex's standby is the good old-fashioned zip tie. He stands by these and he hates Velcro, and I can't really fault him for that. To each their own, but I'm going to one-up the typical zip tie with one with a mounting hole. So the benefit to one like this is that not only can you use it like normal, but you can mount it to whatever you're doing with it. If I'm using this to tie back wires on my rolling workbench and I don't want them falling, I can zip tie them, and then I can screw it to the workbench, to the underside, and it will forever be there for me. These are the cable ties I just discussed, but another option is something like this. So you actually screw these brackets to whatever you want to mount them to, you run the zip tie through it, and then you can zip down whatever you need. You can even combine these two things where you can actually zip tie this to the mount, and you can use the Velcro to cable manage whatever you need managed. Here is one of the Velcro options here. These are just a couple simple examples, and they go a long way in keeping your space organized, keeping things from getting tangled, being able to easily use them. As you can see from the before video, it was managed, but it wasn't really managed. It's like pre-managed. So still a little bit of a mess before. And while it may seem chaotic now, when you start to consider how many wires there are, this is not all that bad. And before we had stuff tucked up under here just to keep it up and out of the way. Now there's a lot less in the way. I can roll this against the wall almost. And this is underneath this edge, so it's not going to get bumped. And I think with this here, I think I'm going to put little bump stops on the back of this so that if I do roll this around the room, it's not going to accidentally pinch a wire. You'll see here that cable management came out just a little bit nicer. It's a lot more serviceable, and getting something a little easier to deal with for long-term management was kind of my goal there. And ultimately, these machines need to be able to move around. I need to be able to get them out and service them without having to cut a bunch of stuff up and get it removed so I can work on it. Personally, I don't really like using zip ties where avoidable. It just, in a lot of cases, seems wasteful, and now I have to deal with a knife and hopefully not cutting a bunch of cables. However, you will see that I use them in combination with these Velcro ties that I do like in order to mount them up against the bottom of my workbench so that They're up, maintained, out of the way, and less likely to get beat up or pinched or snipped or anything like that. So let's talk about some of the issues that why you might need an extension, a hub, or what type of issues come up when you're using ones that aren't really up for the task. Well, ultimately, I recommend using a powered hub that has its own power source, so you're not relying on the power coming through the USB cable. And you also want the potential powered USB extension if you're going to be going for long distances. What that means is if you're on, let's say, a low power system like a laptop running a Type-C USB hub, you may be pumping good power into that USB hub if it's passively powered, if that port is capable of it. But that hub may not be capable of passing that power through the USB. So there can be a lot of things in terms of quality control between devices. It can also just be simply the device wasn't really designed to be pumping that much power through a device. You may need, again, a powered hub to handle those needs. If you're having a problem with any type of connection, let's say you have an extension to a hub to a laser and it's not able to maintain a connection or you can't connect to it at all, the best way to troubleshoot that is by taking some of the components out of the equation that aren't necessary. So that may mean moving your computer or the device closer together to try testing it directly connected to the computer. And if that works, then you know at least the cable that you're using to connect to that device is good. And then you can start working and adding in different things, either the extension or the hub, to determine if those are working for you. It may just simply mean that you have a chain of too many things that are not receiving external power, and it may just be too long of a run. So that's where the powered extension or the powered hub might come in. A lot of the issues that we see with people who are using USB extensions or hubs, a case of using a mixture of ports and hardware that aren't really designed to work with each other with what you're trying to use it for. You may just have an incompatibility somewhere in the line of or chain of events. So for example, if you have a USB 2.0 port on the front of your computer, if you're using an older computer, and you're using a USB 3.0 hub, that can be a problem because the USB 3.0 hub is designed to carry a much higher bandwidth. Now, yes, it could be backwards compatible to work with that port, but ultimately you're going to be bottlenecked by the speeds of the port you're plugged into on the computer. So if you have a USB 2.0 port and you have 4, 5, 6 lasers or multiple devices or an external hard drive plugged into the hub, you're going to be bottlenecked by those speeds, and it's going to have a hard time juggling all of that data at the same time. Vice versa, if you have a USB 3.0 port on the front of your computer and you buy a USB 2.0 extension or a low quality extension and you plug that into a USB 3.0 hub, that can also ultimately cause a problem because the extension, on top of all of the other things that data has to pass through, it may not be able to make it from endpoint to endpoint through that cable without too much degradation, loss of power, or just not being built to the standard USB 3.0 is. So there's a lot of factors at play here. If you're bypassing things and it's resolving problems, that's great. But keep in mind that just bypassing an item to identify what the problem could be isn't always the solution. There could be another factor in that chain of events that causes part of that problem for you. Where possible, you want to make sure if you're using one of these extensions and hubs, make sure you're buying the appropriate extension, you're buying a good quality one, and you're using a port that's rated for the speeds that you're going to be pushing everything through it for. And it's not just about speed, it's about bandwidth and other things, but the USB 3.0 standard, while it can work with the port physically, not necessarily going to carry the bandwidth that you need it to when you're working with multiple pieces of equipment. But in any event, I hope these little tips and tricks have offered you guys some ideas to making your shops a little bit more cable managed and increase your workflow and make things a little bit safer for your equipment. It sucks if you pinch a data cable. That could cost you a job, and it would suck if you pinch a power wire, because pinching a power wire might mean damaging the electronics in one of your pieces of equipment. So cable management isn't just for, functionality or looks. It It can also be kind of a passive insurance policy if you want to think of it that way. But in any event, I will leave a link to a couple of the different options that I found on Amazon in the description, including the ones that I use today. I hope that offers you guys some helpful tools to make your cable management experience just a little bit better and a little bit easier. With that said, don't forget to check out the links below to the communities in the description, including the LMA, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.